Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for April 16th. April 16th is the 106th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 107th in leap years, with 259 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous means existing or being everywhere at the same time, constantly encountered, widespread, such as a ubiquitous fashion. The word ubiquitous comes to us from Latin. First known use of the word ubiquitous is about 1772. Ubiquitous. And with that, we're going to start in 1862, when the District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act, a bill ending slavery in the District of Columbia, became law on April 16, 1862. April 16th is now celebrated in the city as Emancipation Day. Bat Masterson was a gunfighter and a lawman in the American frontier, the Old West, the Wild West. He's associated with some of the Wild West's most iconic places, people, and events. In fact, there was a TV show in the late 50s and early 60s named after him, Bat Masterson. This was a fictionalized account of some of his adventures, and if you've ever watched any of those old TV shows about the Old West, like Bat Masterson or Maverick or Gunsmoke, you'll have seen depictions of gunfights in almost every one of them. I don't think gunfights were quite that commonplace, but they certainly did happen, and Bat Masterson was not averse to engaging in them. All that to say that Bat Masterson fought his last gun battle in Dodge City, Kansas on April 16, 1881. And I did find myself wondering, why? Why was that the last one? He was 28 at the time, so he was still young enough to be a bit of a hothead, and he did get into some trouble over this one, so maybe he began to think better of gunfights as a solution to conflict. Whatever the reason, Bat Masterson is definitely an interesting historical character in the American Old West. This is the birthday of Charlie Chaplin, born April 16, 1889. Born into a showbiz family in London, England, he made his first stage appearance when he was 5 years old. He and his brother entertained in the streets and collected change in a hat. Later on, he developed the character Charlie the Tramp. Charlie Chaplin made some lucrative contracts in the movie business and got his start in the movie business back in the silent movie days. He resisted sound in the movies when the talkies came around, but eventually he came around to the talkies as well. He, along with some other actors, founded the United Artists Corporation in 1919. He got married several times. I think he was married 4 times, and he did seem to prefer younger wives, as 3 of his 4 wives were teenagers when he married them. Charlie Chaplin lived to the age of 88. Apollo 16 departed for the moon on April 16, 1972. Aboard that flight were John Young, Charles Duke, and Thomas Mattingly. Young and Duke went onto the moon to conduct research and gather lunar rocks, while Mattingly stayed on the ship in orbit around the moon. They were gone about 4 days in all and returned safely on April 23rd. Today's song is Don't Give Up on Us by David Soul. He was still co-starring in the 1970s TV series Starsky and Hutch as Detective Ken Hutch Hutchinson when this record was released in January of 1977. Don't Give Up on Us hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on April 16, 1977. Interestingly, he enjoyed singing and recorded and released several other records, several of them doing well in the British charts, but this was the only song of his that made it onto the top 40 in the United States. Don't Give Up on Us, number 1, April 16, 1977. Link in the description. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoyed this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in the description. Alrighty, that's all I could think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Do not disturb.
Okay, I turned Do Not Disturb on.
Good job. Third time better be a charm. Did I say 19th? It's not the 19th yet. One more time. Attracting. Just read the whole thing over. Are you making some sound? Get on out of here. Yeah, we're gonna edit that out. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.